we're going to go look at this video. This guy has some questions and requires answers, I think. Like, a bunch of people said you should respond to it. And I'm going to say that I would like this section of the video that we're doing today to be clipped out. And if somebody wants to edit our comments into a tightly packaged little video, use your discretion. Mostly, we want like a nice tight video about our comments answering this gentleman here.
Make us look good, make him look bad.
No, no, he's not a bad guy. He's
okay.
Yeah, you'll
make us all look good.
Yeah. We're here to just kind of inform him and answer his questions. All right, let's see what this gentleman has to say.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about ComicsGate. I'm a little late to the party on this, but this is something that is huge in the comic book community that I wasn't aware of until recently. Many of you are probably already aware of ComicsGate, but I'm sure there's many people that are watching this video that are trying to figure out what this is and why it is so popular. So
popular, John.
Wow. People are saying that. Yeah. Hugely popular.
People try to say that like we're not popular. People try to put us down just because we get around. Talking about my generation. No, people try to say that ComicsGate is irrelevant and all these things, but it isn't. It is popular. You either love us or you hate us. Yeah. There's no in-betweeners about that. You're either a part of this, and you like if you love us, you're a part of us. And it's like if not, like you lie about us and you hate us and all this stuff, because you're, I don't know, a leftist.
Yeah. Irrelevant people think it's irrelevant.
Correct. Here we go.
Can't talk about ComicsGate without talking about a few specific names.
Jon Malin.
Huh. Is he going to say that?
Which is Ehtan von Sciver. This guy is kind of the at the forefront, the spearhead of this ComicsGate movement, as well as many other famous writers and artists. Many of you that are aware of ComicsGate, whether you're for it or against it, already probably have an opinion, but I'm going to kind of talk about what this is and what I think about it. You can't really talk about ComicsGate without talking about this Comic Artist Pro Secrets YouTube channel, which is massive, 146,000 subscribers. And in its description, it's a comprehensive, fun YouTube channel based on helping artists and writers get better at their...
I really should change the description of this channel. When I started the channel, that's what it was. I started the channel as a way of just saying, hey, I'm going to be a helpful voice in comics. I'm going to interview comic book professionals, some of the most heinous, odious, obese, and slimy people that you might ever meet. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to treat them with respect and find out where they're coming from. And that was my initial idea. And then also I'm going to review, I'm going to talk about my own comics and tell you what I was thinking about when I was drawing them. And then I'll do some art lessons and reviews, things like that. I really meant well. But things changed, pretty quickly. That was like November. And by February, I was railing about SJWs. I really had no choice. So, yeah.
Pretty quickly is this channel is not really about that entirely.
Can Jim Lee ungay Superman in the DC universe? The channel isn't really about that anymore. It's about can Jim Lee ungay Superman. Oh, come on now. That's hilarious.
It's one of these channels that is kind of a sensationalist type channel, or
this is another good
what's
one here.
Hot, catch the zeitgeist.
Brown markers doing? Stat. Marvel Comics artist Mark Brooks in full panic
How's Disney?
As SJW. So this is great. This was like a video that I made, and I started making a couple more like recorded videos. I gotta get back to it. I'm way too preoccupied. Mark Brooks doing all these drawings of Marvel superheroes, and he draws Wanda the Scarlet Witch, and he draws he colors his own stuff with Copic markers, So he drew the Scarlet Witch, and SJWs all attacked him and said, "Don't you know that her skin color is brown now? She's a brown person because she is of Romani descent." And Mark's like, "What? She's brown, and you drew her as a Caucasian woman."
Oh no!
And Mark just went, "Well, I knew that, and she is brown. It's just the light is hitting the page in a certain way."
They moved the goalpost on him.
Right. So I just did this video like brown markers stat. Like Mark has to go in with brown markers and change the skin tone of Wanda. So disingenuous silly and stupid, but that's the world that they built for themselves.
Yep.
Mark entirely deserves to have trouble from these people to never be to never adequately be representing the human race in all its various shades and colors adequately. He should never be representing them properly. He should always have trouble with people saying he's not doing it enough. Instead of just telling them initially to go F themselves, he got himself into this jam. So it's pretty funny.
Disney flopping? How's the MCU flopping? A channel like that, which many of you are probably thinking, well, hey, wait a minute, isn't Sticky Goose Comics about that? Well, I definitely have made content like that, but I would like to think that...
There's Heather Anto. She won't stop. This was, I think, my latest video, and I put shit on her head there.
Yeah, the emoji.
Well, I mean, why? Like, why make videos like this? It's like, why? It's like, I think this guy thinks it's like entirely clickbait, and it's important that I do this to like just make videos that make people angry, but no, I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my world. I'm talking about people who have affected my life personally. It's not so much about, just Disney and the culture war in general in ways that just mildly affect my life because I'm annoyed that Indiana Jones 5 wasn't very good or something like that. No, these people work together in private rooms to make it so that I can't feed my family. That's
real
these
villains.
People. That's right. They are actual villains. So I keep my eye on them. And when they do something snaky like this, I don't always, but I might make a video about it. I might point it out. Just this morning, I pointed out that SJWs attacked the guy from Japan who wrote an article about how good the Cyberfrog action figures were and how they're coming to Japanese markets. SJW swarmed that guy, harassed him, and bullied him, and he took down the article. See, that's real stuff that affects me personally. It's not just like grifting off of the culture war. It's like, it's my life here. So those are the kind of videos that I make.
My channel is varied and kind of shows what the comic book community really is. Well, this channel and other channels that are of this ilk, they are very clickbaity in a lot of the things.
This is the ComicsGate Wikipedia here, which, have you read it lately, John?
No, not lately.
Yeah, I look at it a couple of times and I just shake my head. Like, it just seems like such a cluster F. And Wikipedia is not friendly to corrections for things like this.
Yeah, like I like that it says was, like we're gone, like
right,
past tense. Yeah,
that's deliberate. Obviously, they're trying to say they're no longer a thing. Like, please go away. No, we're still here, guys, and we're still just as big and growing and having a good time.
We're bigger, actually, and putting on weight.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That they are talking about. So one of the main reasons I'm making this video was on my search for trying to find what ComicsGate was. It led me to where all searches lead, Wikipedia. And we have got to take a look at this Wikipedia page. This may be one of the most biased or one of the most biased wiki pages I've ever seen. ComicsGate is a right-wing campaign in opposition to diversity and progressivism in North American superhero comic book industry.
Jeez. It's just not true. I think that, first of all, we do have a lot of liberals here, unfortunately. And you're just kidding. We do have a lot of liberals. We have a lot of people who vote different ways in ComicsGate. ComicsGate isn't in opposition to progressivism necessarily. I mean, I'm in opposition to progressivism, but that's just me personally. ComicsGate is just, hey, stop making progressivism the focus, the sole focus of your intentions creatively with the comic book industry, while gatekeeping everybody who disagrees with you and destroying their lives. And that's what ComicsGate's complaint is, and what ComicsGate's goal is to be able to make it so that there is no political discrimination in comic books, no political discrimination in comics, and also people should be able to make comics no matter what. Sure. You've got, again, you just saw, these guys attack this Japanese website and make them pull down an article about Cyberfrog. We've seen over and over again, Mike Barron produced comic books that are right-wing. He wants to, if they're going to make comic books that are left-wing, Mike Barron wants to make comics that are right-wing. Now, that's not my thing. It's not what I think comics should be, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters that Mike Barron be allowed to do whatever he wants to do. He shouldn't have to pass any tests. He shouldn't have to appease anyone except for an audience. And as long as people are buying his comics and supporting his comics, he should be allowed to make them. Full stop, period. That should be it. And that's just not the case. It isn't the case. He puts out a comic book, and people who are not even interested, who were never going to buy his comics anyway, work together with the comic book media, with the extended media like Daily Beast and other horrific websites on the internet, to make it so that his campaign to fund his comic books gets pulled down, effectively silencing him and censoring him from making comics that are not obscene. They're not offensive. They shouldn't be offensive. They're not offensive to everyone. And that is intolerable to me. And that's one of the things that ComicsGate stands against and wants to change in comics.
And they did kind of the same thing with Frank Miller when he went to, or was invited to, a convention. I don't remember where, somewhere out in Europe, and some girl had a fit because she considered him to be problematic, and so he ended up being disinvited. And then it turned out she wasn't even going to the show.
Yeah, she didn't even care. I mean, it was just the fact that anybody is being treated like a human being who disagrees with radical leftists is intolerable to them. Again, if I want to go to a comic book convention, I am going to be met with opposition. I just wanted to go to this little show, Garden State Comic Fest, and we have big professionals who are tweeting out, I'm thinking about stopping him from going. I'm thinking about complaining, doing whatever, protesting, using whatever influence I have to make it so that Ethan Van Sciver cannot go up and set up a little table and sell frogs to people. And that's, again, it's a real problem. If it wasn't a problem, there would be no reason for us to, there would no reason for ComicsGate to even exist. But it's a real problem. It's a clear and present danger to the arts, and we must push back.
And you went to that was it a pizza place or a drawing thing, and they threw a brick through the window.
You won't believe this, John, but they actually mention that in Wikipedia, but backwards. Hold on, watch this.
Its proponents target the creators hired, the characters depicted, and the stories told, and maintain that these elements have led to the decline in both quality and sales. The name is derived from Gamergate, a similar movement related to video games. So if a lot of you guys are gamers or know of this movement, there were a lot of trolls and people on 4chan, and all these guys on the internet were basically tired of the woke movement. And
well, that's, sir, no offense to you, but that's not a good summary of Gamergate. The problem is, again, the gamer media was found to be completely and totally corrupted by sexual favors. And that's how Gamergate started. These terrible, this one particular game, which was called Depression Quest. Do you know about this, John? You know Depression Quest?
Zoe Quinn one?
Zoe Quinn. Zoe Quinn is an SJW. She's a multiple facially pierced, very strange.
Working at Marvel or DC in the last year.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Right. She actually went on to get work in comics too. But what happened was she made this kind of choose your own adventure style video game called Depression Quest, which was like a depression simulator. In other words, you put on the game and it's like you wake up, you pull the covers down over your face and look at the sky, look at the sunshine coming through your window. You want to kill yourself. Do you A, kill yourself, or do you B, force yourself to get out of bed and start your day? Okay, I'm going to say B, I'm going to get out of bed. I should just put A. No, I'm going to put B. You hit B and then it goes, you know what I mean? It's like choose.
It'd be a short game if you hit A.
Yeah, it'd be over. I think that's what I would do immediately if I were playing that game anyway, or if I were forced to play that game. But this game's ridiculous, and yet it got written up positively as a really important game by all of these video game magazines and news sites. It was available for sale, I think, on the Steam engine, so she was making money off of it. And lo and behold, her boyfriend comes out and says all of these guys who are writing these positive articles, she slept with them. She had sex with all of them. So the entire gaming media is corrupt. The journalism media of Gamergate is corrupt, and it is sex, lies, and videotape essentially. That's what started Gamergate. The fact that the video game media was being taken over by women who were sleeping with journalists to get accredited with their video games. And then there was also Anita Sarkeesian, who was talking about how Donkey Kong was anti-woman because you have Penelope from Donkey Kong, and you're the man, and she's a woman in danger, and all of these sexist tropes that are in video games. It was just ridiculous.
Men saving women is sexist now?
Yes, because women can save themselves.
They don't need no man.
Right, interesting. Well, we should have told that to the women on the Titanic. Ladies, it's okay. Everyone's equal. So, I don't know, whoever.
Yeah, you girls stay on the boat. We'll let the guys and the kids on the rafts. And
no, everybody can save themselves. So maybe in that case, since no men should be gentlemen or chivalrous, whoever's the strongest can get in the lifeboat. Women, certainly you can compete, and you'll be able to get in the lifeboat under those circumstances, correct? Men are used to saving women. It's a good masculine instinct that men possess, and it needs to stick around. It's a good thing that men want to put themselves at risk to save the damsel in distress. Unfortunately, a lot of these women these days, aren't worthy of that. But that's a whole other MGTOW argument that we don't need to have here on Comic Artist Bros Secrets. Is it Paulina instead of Penelope? Paulina? Okay, let's get back to this guy. Anyway, that's what Gamergate was. And by the way, Gamergate was such a big issue. And I believe, it is my opinion, okay, that the SJWs won Gamergate. They won Gamergate because when Gamergate is brought up, it's brought up again like, oh God, they were trying to kill women. It feels like they won the PR war. And so because they did that, when SJWs, it was pointed out that SJWs were hurting comics in a similar way, they immediately called it ComicsGate because they wanted to say, we're going to win this one too.
The social justice warrior movement, and everybody was came to the forefront, and they weren't going to stand for it. It led to a lot of like harassment of certain individuals that are creators, writers of certain video games. And it sounds like ComicsGate is something they're trying to kind of take that name Gamersgate and make it a comic related thing. Its members.
That's close enough, right? I mean, except for the part about harassment.
Yeah, I wish you would just say criticism. There was criticism.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, again, these people, the women who claimed they were being harassed were effectively trying to destroy the hobby that a lot of people were enjoying. And they themselves were calling it criticism. They were calling the people who were enjoying the hobby incels, pieces of shit, garbage humans.
Racist,
and
sexist.
So racist, sexist, homophobes. And so when people pushed back, it was suddenly they retreated into, I'm being harassed. And harassment is a great word. A lot of the words that SJWs use and their tactics are highly, highly effective. Because when you call someone a racist, nobody needs to ask any questions. That person's a racist. They don't go,
back away.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. When you say that somebody is harassing women, okay, you're going to kind of just sort of believe that. And then again, yeah, you're right, back away. Like, what does it mean to harass?
This guy is hiding in bushes and jumping out on him at the sidewalk.
It's an ugly accusation. It's an effective slur. It's an effective thing to accuse someone of. And all of these SJW tactics, I don't know if they study them in some sort of fucking like, a group of some sort to see what is effective, what actually works. But they know they know how to destroy people. They're really, really good at it.
Present it as a consumer protest, primarily advocating their views on social media. Some have produced books intended to reflect the group's values. It is part of an alt-right movement and has been described by commentators as a harassment campaign which targets women.
Why does that get in there? Why don't we get to say what ComicsGate is? First of all, we're not alt-right. We might have some members of the alt-right who are in ComicsGate. We might. In fact, I know of a couple. So what? We also have liberals in here and Democrats. We have people that span the political spectrum in ComicsGate because it's not about being alt-right. It's not really about politics in any particular focused way.
People of color and LGBT folk.
We target these people. Again, the word targets women, people of color, and LGBT folk. We mostly target Mark Wade. If you want me to be like honest, if we're gonna say that we've ever targeted anyone, we've targeted Dan Slott and Mark Wade, and also recently Mark Brooks. Those are.
I feel like Mark. Well, all these guys have, they've targeted us. I mean, it's just it's retaliation on them.
Yes. But I mean, yes, it would be more retaliation. We don't go after people unprovoked ever. We don't, criticize anyone unprovoked. But like I said, most of the people who I think that we've focused on their behavior and the damage that they've done to comics, they have been white males. There's one particular white female that I can think of. There's also a black female who is in a wheelchair and lesbian sex worker. T. Franklin is her name, that I think I've made a video about. These are people who are doing damage to comics. It has nothing to do with their identities. They push their identities forward as shields in order to prevent criticism while they do damage to the hobby and the art form that I derive my living and my entertainment from. So that's the problem there. Listen to this.
In the comic book industry, threats of violence and vandalism of one store were attributed to the campaign.
They're actually talking about violence at a comic book store, and they're saying that ComicsGate did that, which is astonishing. Listen, it's the other way around, okay? I appeared at a pizza store, which also, there's a place called Gotham City Pizza in Florida.
Oh, do they serve that cheese pizza there?
No, and no walnuts and hot dogs.
It's not that PizzaGate place?
No, it isn't.
It's PizzaGate. Okay, all right.
God forbid. No, of course not. It's called Gotham City Pizza, and they're a pizza place. Their pizza's excellent. They serve all kinds of beers, draft beers, and they also have comic books around for you to read. The decor is comic book related. I think there might be a kind of a comic book store in there as well. And they invited me and Billy Tucci and others out to do a signing in their store. They thought it would be fun. Now, when people found out that I was going to go there, I began to receive threats. Very, very specific threats of murder and violence that would happen to me should I show my face at this store. They said they were going to cut my hands off. They said they were going to kill me. They said they were going to blow my face off, all this stuff. And I went anyway. I actually told my wife to stay back at the hotel. And normally she would be there at my side. And I said, I don't know. I can't not go to this thing. I can't retreat from threats. But in case something bad happens, I don't want you to be there. So she stayed back. And I went to the thing, and it was fine because there were so many people in the store at the signing. Billy Tucci was there, others, and we had a lot of cool, great comic skaters that showed up to eat pizza, drink beer with us. I drew Batman on their wall. They gave me a marker, and I did a nice. There's a whole video about this early on my YouTube channel that you can reference.
Before the violence started.
And then the violence happened. When I went home that night, I was like, that was successful. That was great. I'm so glad I did that. And the next morning, the store owner called me to say somebody threw a cinder block through our window overnight. And this guy, and by the way, they didn't go in and rob the place. He didn't have an alarm. So it's not as though, they were scared away. They could have robbed him. He had some money in there. No, they defaced his store.
And that's when the comics community rose up and denounced all this violence towards their friend Ehtan Van Sciver. In unison.
No, that's not what happened. Most people didn't care. And what happened instead was the ComicsGate said we're gonna do our first crowdfund. It was the first crowdfund we ever did. We did a crowdfund to raise money to replace the guy's door because he said I have a little money saved up for the business, but our family was going to go on vacation with it. I guess now we're not going to be able to. So ComicsGate got together and we raised enough money so that we could replace his door and he could go on vacation. And it was just one of the more heroic moments in ComicsGate. But it was for them to say that it was the other way around, that ComicsGate did damage to somebody's store over this is not true.
Yeah, what would be the motive?
Yeah, why would we do that? That's just not what we're about. It's silly and weird.
That paragraph right there, whoever wrote this is obviously anti ComicsGate, obviously, but for you to have this side, this opinionated of a side, that gets my, kind of scratches my head, kind of gets my gears going of what is actually happening here. So
yeah, that's exactly right. But
so as I was saying earlier, the guy that's kind of at the forefront of all of this is this Ehtan Van Sciver.
Got it.
And this guy has been on huge books in the past, big X-Men books, that Jeff Johns Green Lantern run, a lot of the stuff in the New 52. I mean, this guy has been on DC Comics and Marvel and the big two. He's been around the block. Apparently, all this kind of came to a head.
You know what's weird? This guy doesn't seem to have ever heard of me as a comic book professional.
Oh, yeah, and he's got a lot of comic book stuff there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
DC? Oh, well, DC and Marvel. Okay.
Yeah.
In the 2010s, when that was the rise of the Kamala Khan era, the all new, all different, that Marvel Now .1 time period where they were basically taking, Captain America, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, traditional characters that we knew, and replacing them by female or racial minority characters. This led to a lot of backlash from comic book buyers and consumers, and specifically this creator, where he was tired of this. And
that's not true. I honestly was part of it. I wasn't tired of it. I helped it along while I was working for DC. I did my job. DC would say, hey, we need a new Mexican Green Lantern. And I'd say, okay. And it wasn't that I was tired of that. That wasn't the issue at all. I didn't notice it. I didn't know that it was correlated to the fact that I was being discriminated against actively by my peers. I didn't realize that their agenda was to do that. That was their main agenda, and also to remove me from the comic book industry because of my politics. And I went, oh, these two things are combined. It's not that I was saying, wow, we have too many, women and people of color being. I was like, what is this? This is kind of weird, but okay, whatever. I'm doing my job. This is what's going on. I didn't notice there was a problem until I started to see my peers being extremely cruel to the fandom. And I thought that was weird. I thought that was very, very strange. And then I saw them turn on me because I celebrated the election of Donald J. Trump, which I was very, very excited about. They knew I was a Republican. They knew I was a conservative. They thought it was weird. I was definitely the odd man out wherever I went in comics. But when Trump won and I celebrated, they started coping and seething and molding in a very special way. They demanded that I be removed. They refused to work with me again. And that's when I started to kind of see the conspiracy.
Yeah. Well, that's because these guys never celebrate their victories.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah.
Like none of them what's the word I'm looking for? I celebrated, and DC actually told me. They said, what's the word that they used? When you celebrate something kind of in a sort of yeah kind of way.
Gloated.
Gloat. Yeah, gloat.
Thank you, Snake Dog in chat.
Yeah, Snake Dog said they first of all, they gloat all the time over everything. But when Trump won, I got a message from DC that said, please don't gloat. Please don't gloat. What are you talking about?
Please don't celebrate your win.
Please don't celebrate that the country's going in the right direction and the guy that you voted for won. Don't gloat. Why not? Why can't I gloat? I mean, it's not as though other comic book pros didn't gloat constantly. Like my behavior was equal to and equivalent to their behavior politically. That's all it was. And through ComicsGate, I started to understand that was wrong. Like listening to your boy Zach and Diversity in Comics videos. Yeah, like I should not have been political at all, and neither should they. But they were, and so was I, and it was even. They're allowed to be, and I'm not. That's not fair. Simple as that. That's political discrimination. If it were up to me, I would say nobody should ever talk about their politics when you're working for the Mouse or for Warner Brothers. That shouldn't be a thing. It's harmful. It's bad. It's actually bad for entertainment and for the culture. But since we do it, one side should not be cowed. One side should not be silenced, while the other one just feels free to spike the football and gloat and act like shitheads and say things like, because of demographics, you're never going to be represented politically ever again. Republicans are never going to win an election again. And then when they do, you start to get destructive, and through your own political grieving, you start to cancel people, get them fired from their jobs, which is basically what happened to me. And it's why ComicsGate became a part of my life. And then I started to see the overall agenda of what these people were intending to do.
Yeah, and I haven't followed the Eric July San Diego thing very, very tightly, but isn't that what they were trying to do to Eric July? They were trying to get him canceled out of there?
Yes, of course. They thought, what? It's not even that they're trying to get him canceled out of there. I don't know if they have effectively mounted an opposition. I don't know if they have the balls to do that in 2023. But were this 2017, you better believe.
Oh yeah,
he would have been canceled from San Diego Comic-Con. He would not be able to go there. 2018, 2019, he wouldn't be able to do that. But the problem is, they think that he doesn't belong there. They think that he shouldn't be allowed there. That they don't have the energy or the power in 2023 to make something happen because of their beliefs. Is no fault of their own. They would do it if they could. And they're telling him, they're like, I can't believe San Diego is letting this guy be there. What are you talking about? He's a guy who raised almost $2 million this year on the second issue of his comic book. He should be there, and you shouldn't, frankly.
He should be a guest of honor.
If it were a meritocracy, he would be a guest of honor there, and you wouldn't be allowed at all. You'd be mopping the floors. But no, that's just not the way it is. So, this still does persist. This still is a thing. SJWs have been depowered to some degree, I think. But they're still powerful. They're still there, and they're still trying to make it uncomfortable, unpleasant, and unwelcoming for people who don't agree with them.
Yeah, we're in a good spot right now, but I think next year it's going to start getting volatile again. Seriously. So buckle up.
Get ready. Yeah, for the election.
Yeah, but right now, as far removed as we are from 2016, just talking about things that were going on 2016, 17, 18, it sounds ridiculous. It's like, how could people have been so collectively upset at Ehtan, Richard, ComicsGate for really nothing but a difference in political opinion. They voted for the wrong guy, and then they toss every name in the book in this direction. And then when people say, well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and say, no, I'm not. No, I'm not these things. And then it just makes you look guilty. It makes you look like you are part of them. So you got to fight back. You got to stand up, and you got to fight back against this shit. Now, thankfully, at least at this point in time, things have settled. The waters are calmer, and it's so silly to think about what happened. But give it another year, man. They'll fire right back up.
But we'll still be here. Things have settled in no small part because ComicsGate is here. We didn't fall apart. We're still here. We're still just as big. They're shrinking, and we're not going anywhere. We do push back. Understand, if we're not here and we're not pushing back and we're not shining a light on this, and if we're not actually saying these people and their behavior, shining a light on them like cockroaches.
Wait. These people?
Yeah, the SJWs.
Cockroaches?
Yes.
SJWs,
definitely. Scum, parasites that are ruining, that make comics inhospitable, that make them less profitable, and make them less fun. They are cockroaches. And when we shine a light on their behavior, they scamper, they scatter, they run. And they're forced back, into their whisper networks, into their discords, into quiet places that nobody can see them when they scheme. They should be ashamed of themselves. Meanwhile, ComicsGate, we just talk right out front. We just talk about what we want to do, what we believe. We put it right out in Front Street, right on YouTube. Nothing to be ashamed of here. We're right. And I think because we have been so persistent, because we persisted, because we're still here, I think things have gotten a little bit better. And I think we're ready for next year, honestly. I think we're ready for an election year. We'll see how that goes.
It'll be fun.
Led to this breaking away and him pulling away and making his...
I was canceled. I didn't break away. I did not pull away. Okay. I was canceled. They tried to make it so that I could not work ever again.
Own content. And what happened later on was basically a lot of writers and artists banded together, which so many times this happens. If you go against the grain, you go against what the hive mind, the common collective says, you get ostracized. Got big names, Jeff Lemire, Scott Snyder, Donnie Cates, Bill Sienkiewicz, Tom Taylor, Kelly Thompson, Benjamin Percy, Greg Pak. I mean, these are big names that are still writing for Marvel and DC today, and they basically came out against this ComicsGate movement, separating themselves from that. So if we look at what this Ehtan von Sciver has done, I mean, this is a pretty large backlog, pretty large log of content that he's created.
Look at this, Fuzzy Buzzard and Friends, #1, John. I think that should be worth more than $40.
Is that your cover?
Yeah, no, I did the entire book. I drew the entire book in 4 days, 3 or 4 days.
I think I remember you saying something about this.
Yeah, it's the lowest selling comic ever. It sold 32 copies on Diamond. And it's really hard to find. I did manage to get a copy of it, but
what was the story behind drawing that in such a short amount of time?
Well, this guy named Mr. Tom, who I met at the mall, he was like a guy who put puppet shows on for kids. I think he was kind of like a mixture of Fred Rogers and Dr. Seuss. He called himself Mr. Tom. He paid me to illustrate these children's books. And then he had me come out. He's like, he saw Cyberfrog. He's like, maybe I should do a comic book. Maybe you could illustrate some of my puppet shows as comic strips, and I could do a comic book through all the heroes. I said, oh, yeah, that'd be a great idea. So he paid me, I think, $1,200 total to draw a comic book. That $1,200 was a lot of money. So I was like, hell yeah. But he was in Arizona. He had a summer house in Arizona. So he flew me out to Arizona, and he said,
hey, kid, you want to draw comics in my house?
Yeah, it was real creepy. And he put me up there. He had a gay son, and his gay lover was living there. And he just said, he was feeding me Burger King, and he just said, you can go when the book's done.
Sounds like a horror movie.
Dude, it really was a fucking nightmare. And I got all 22 pages done in I think it was 3 days. I really got those pages done.
Now, what was it? Just pencil or pencil ink?
Pencils and inks and letters.
We're using a lettering?
Yeah.
Hand lettering?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's just the way
ProQuill? Did you have pens back then?
Tech pen. I think I was using all Tech pen.
Okay.
So it was silly. But anyway.
3 days?
3 days. Literally, I was like, let me just keep going. Let me get this done. And I was drawing the pages regular, like the size of an actual comic book. It shows. It's like a cartoon book. It looks like Archie kind of inside.
Okay.
But it's shit. And it sold 32 copies, and there you go. And I got to go home. It sucked.
Created a lot of stuff from the 90s, specifically this Cyberfrog, which we'll get to later in the video. He's got some some booby covers there, some
that wasn't me. I didn't do that titty cover. That was Matt Martin did that.
Your buddy.
Yep. He gave me the files for Snowman now, printable files. I got them. I'm ready to go.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Covers, and then he gets into this new X-Men run with Grant Morrison, very famous run. And there we actually get the first appearance of Phantom X later in that run in New X-Men 128. But he's a very prominent. I mean, his name is on these comics on the front.
Yes, I'm a huge star, dude. I'm gigantic. All right. I mean, I was in the #1 most popular comic book artist in 2009. Wow. This guy did some comics at one point. See, this is why it doesn't matter, John. This is why comics don't matter, because it's not about me. It's never going to be about you. It's about the X-Men. It's not you, it's the Flash. It's not you, it's Green Lantern. And when you're working on them, you're deluded enough to think that it's you. Mark Brooks thinks he's like famous. Mark, you're not. You're the guy who's producing X-Men covers for people. The minute you stop, the minute you become obsolete, and that's just the way it works in the mainstream. You really need to connect yourself to something that is your own. And this is my own fault. I spent 20 years producing this garbage, and at the end of it, what do I have to show for it? Some guy going, yeah, this guy seems to be like, his name is on a lot of big comics. John, you know what that feels like? Feels like
death. Ego death.
Yeah, ego death. Feels like sand in your underpants. Not Megan Fox's hand. It feels like sand in your underpants. Okay.
Cover as the artist. So, I mean, this guy was super well known. And then he gets into these Green Lantern books with Jeff Johns, which is widely accepted as the best Green Lantern run ever. And I can attest to those first issues of Green Lantern from that run.
Look at this. Here's the key facts for this is actually up on this site. 2007, Either Van Sciver Convention sketchbook limited to 1,000 copies. Controversial cover, parody of Mein Kampf, the autobiographical manifesto written by Hitler. Detractors of Van Sciver cite this cover as an example of the artist's political and social beliefs. Yeah, so that's interesting. It's a parody of Hitler, the autobiographical manifesto written by Hitler. This fucking attached my comic book career, dude. John, maybe I took a couple of missteps. What do you think?
No, I think the world turned retarded.
Yeah.
No, I think that's absolutely fine. 2007, yeah, that even would have been a nice chuckle. Yeah, my struggle was Space Hitler.
Space Hitler. Oh my God, too good, man. I don't regret a thing. I had so much fun. All right,
and they were incredible. He has many of his books all lead into like the late 2010 or the mid 2010s, even into a little bit of the late 2010s. But then you see, after that, he kind of breaks away, and then he's making these independently produced graphic novels.
Hi. Okay, so we got Jawbreakers. John, there's no way that your cover, like this comic in mid condition, is $15. I just bought another copy of it. I paid $90 for it.
Damn.
Yeah.
I got a whole box full of them.
Are you joking? You really do?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just holding on to them. They're all nicely shrink wrapped or something. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I had to buy another one because I was only first of all, no, I wasn't given any copies of it. But I did back the campaign, so I had my and I don't know where that one went. I honestly don't. I think I might have given it away to somebody who wanted it, and I figured I'll get another one later. So I just had to buy one last year, and it was $90 off of eBay. Jawbreakers, Lost Souls, my favorite book. Makes me very happy.
Which are producing $400,000, $500,000 on Indiegogo backers from like 10,000, 15,000 people. So I had to do a little bit more digging. I was trying to find where this ComicsGate stuff is. Where can you buy these books? Where are people going to look at this? And there's this site, comicsgate.org, where they are basically promoting all of these creators, specifically content creators in this situation, of basically their content that they're making, and a lot of the things that they're making is clickbaity type stuff.
Oh, shout out to Sticky Goose. He's in the chat right now, and he's saying something pretty interesting.
Oh,
Sticky Goose says, send me a ComicsGate starter pack, please. See, he's so, like, you don't understand. Sticky Goose, there is no ComicsGate starter pack. We're not a company. We're a loose affiliation of independent creators who all support each other and promote each other's small businesses. So there's no starter pack. It's not like you could ever get a ComicsGate grab bag unless we all decided to make one together. That's not the way it works. ComicsGate is just a bunch of people who have identified the problem that you're discussing here, and we've all decided that we alone can be the solution to it if we choose to be. And the way that we do that is we talk about what they're doing. You notice that we're making clickbait videos saying we do talk about that, and the way that the reason why we make those videos is so that people who are noticing this problem find us. Okay, so yeah, like that's weird. Snow White and the 7 full-grown men, that's weird. They find us, okay, and they end up saying, yeah, that's odd, and then we teach them about how this is happening all over multiple industries, multiple hobbies, not just comics or movies. We found it's happening in the bird watching community. These same cancel culture efforts, the same progressives who are excluding others. Wasn't
there like a knitting club? They were canceling people.
Happening. They go, oh, this color of yarn sounds racist. I'm not even kidding you. They use accusations of racism, harassment, bigotry in order to gain power and control over a hobby or a club or an industry, and then they start making changes in it. But it's really all about power and control. Anyway, ComicsGaters just said the best way that we can oppose this is to come together, make our own comic books using crowdfunding, using YouTube, using social media to promote them. And then we all promote each other if we can. We all kind of become a little bit of a family here. And that way everybody kind of lifts each other up and we succeed. So there's no ComicsGate starter pack. The only question you have to answer for yourself is, you agree with that? You think we're right? You're noticing this too? You see this as a problem that needs to be solved? And are you willing to stand up against it? Are you willing to oppose it? Are you willing to take a little abuse for it like we do? We get called bigots. We got that Wikipedia article that I got to live with that's full of lies. Are you willing to do that? Are you brave enough to do that? And ComicsGaters, including the 877 people who are watching right now, presumably most of them are friendly, have answered yes. And so that's what it is. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to continue to look at your video here and talk about it a little bit more, sort of answer some questions. But for most people here, they are I'm preaching to the choir. But listen. Hopefully, we'll make a nice edited down video, an answer to your video, so that people can kind of find it and understand what's going on. All right, very good. And thanks for popping in there, Sticky Goose.
It's outrage. It's talking about woke culture, social justice, warrior culture. Basically what we're seeing in the MCU, the DCU, Disney Plus, how these movies are doing, if they're failing, actors.
But I mean, you're also passing through, Sticky Goose, a lot of see that launch day giveaway, Earthbound Grand Prix. That's our friend Per Berg, otherwise known as Narwhal, who is a fantastic creator, who is launching a new comic book, a new hardbound graphic novel called Earthbound 3. And so that's on there too. Yeah, of course there's Disney's doing this, Disney's doing that. People are interested. People are interested in what's gone wrong with our culture, with pop culture, and they want to find us somehow. I don't really make videos like that anymore because I've said all I really want to say, but other people are going to keep doing it, and they should.
It's very TMZ-esque drama. And then I looked at some of the books.
But also, there's other things out there too. In terms of the videos that are being made, what does that show Irene and Narwhal are on? They're talking about comic book creation. That's no drama. Michael Bancroft, I think, rarely talks about anything that has any drama going on. Yeah, there's certain channels that is going to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of countering the headline. So when we hear something, when we see something, and it forces us to react. It's not us trying to stir up shit, but someone's got to hold the line. Someone's got to be there to counteract everything that's being said about us. So
that's right.
But otherwise, the content, you look at these things, it's a lot of comic book promotion. It's talk about the craft. Even on Ethan's channel, the last few weeks, he's just been talking about the praise of a young Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, that was fun. We got another one of those videos to go through this afternoon too. It's going to be pretty fun. So all right, here we go.
That they are producing, which I find very interesting. What makes a non-woke book? Well,
I mean, nothing. The books aren't necessarily. It's not like we advertise these comics as non-woke books. They're simply creators who themselves are not woke, who want to just make comics without having to worry about, pledging allegiance to the current wokesters that are running comics. You understand? So is Downcast woke or anti-woke? No, it's just a story. Magic Cop, anti-woke? No, it's not. It's just a story. But it's also some of these books, not some of it, all of these books should never feel afraid to be politically incorrect. If they want to be politically incorrect, they're free to do so. They don't have to answer to anyone. They can be Milo Manera with Spider-Woman with her rear end up in the air if they want to. That's not to say that all of these books are like that. Most of them, the vast majority, just aren't. They're just standard superhero stories or sci-fi stories. But, if they are politically incorrect, every now and then we should do something that's a little politically incorrect just to flex our muscles. If they want to be anti-PC, they should be and can be, and they don't need to worry about it. And that's the other nice thing about ComicsGate. We don't censor art.
One thing that kind of stood out right off the bat is these
and then you got Clint Holinsky. the big boobies and the nipples there. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Clint.
cover books. You just don't see that outside of Vampirella,
Yeah, but you're not seeing it here either, Sticky Goose. You saw one example of it, and as you scroll down, Johnny Phantasm, Thin Blue Line. You had Cyberfrog up there. Let's
Lady
keep going.
Death books.
Johnny Phantasm, Tiger Blue. Like the even though I think we get tarred and feathered as or I would say smeared as people that just do big booby books. In fact, we aren't. We don't do enough of them. Not at all.
Yeah, they're out there. They're out there. But it's definitely not the majority thing. I mean, clearly on the Godlight campaign, there's the Dan Plagle, Boob Dan Art Goblin Girl. So
Clint Olinsky's in the chat. He says, "Thanks for the shout out." Yes, he's so funny.
Yeah, it's out there.
Clint likes to know that stuff.
But if you look at even what that Clint Holinsky book that was just up there, I mean, that is nothing that wouldn't even have been eyebrow raising back in the day of J. Scott Campbell. Over there at Wildstorm, doing the Gen X or Gen 13 book. That was par for the course. Now everyone acts like, oh my God. We see a little bit of impression of a nipple. These boobs are a little too large. It's a freak out. And if you go into the mainstream comic book industry, that's where it's really a fucking problem. So people are, the editorial, definitely at Marvel is going woke. I dealt with that firsthand. And, but that, again, that's kind of the benefit of being over here, and why this kind of needs to exist is building out a network of people to where you can make those types of books of the old early 1990s and not worry about having your life upheaved. Not by this group anyway. The SJWs, they will still come after you, but whatever, you can do what you're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, it really is silly. It's not as though we believe all comics. Here's the thing. Let me clarify. It's not as though we believe that all comics should be big booby, kind of softcore sex books. What we believe is that if you want to make those, you can make those, and you shouldn't have to encounter this kind of nonsense, which I'll show you in a second here. We've got a whole force of radical feminists and social justice warriors that will come down on you and cause trouble for you. This is the nerdy bird here, Jill Pantozzi, who is widely respected as JW in comics. Marvel, this is when you send an artist back to the drawing board. This is look at people were doing memes of Milo Manera's Spider-Woman piece that I was referring to a second ago. They got Richard Scarry characters in her ass, and this is an apple. It's like an apple bus, an apple car, as you can see. Somebody made. And what's this here? We've got another climbing the mountains here of her ass. Oh, wow. You got this guy here, Science Man.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
He should have been the guy from Ancient Aliens, doing aliens.
I agree. Yeah. Jill Pantozzi is very upset. This is from probably 2012, 2000. She goes, wrote this up today. Later on, professional comic artist Vasilis Lolos, hail, decided to comment on the post, then called himself a troll and was obviously just there to start some trouble. A no-no on the Mary Sue comment policy. So I banned him. So here's Vasilis Lolos Comics. Here he is right here. He says, what the hell is this? You guys seem to have forgotten that all the Ant covers, at least Manara knows anatomy. Look it up. 99% of all that Fathom Witchblade stuff is soft porn anyway. I mean, Manara draws porn, and quite well. So are people actually upset over fictional characters? Comics were built on cheap entertainment. That's what it is. Fuck it. Who cares? Let them have cake. It's only a drawing. Who gives a fuck? I have an Eisner and a Harvey, and also zero fucks to give about this airborne ass. There's something for everyone in this market. We can make room every day for more serious stuff and more serious asses. I'd rather watch this than the Kardashian way of life. Buy my books, I rule. That ass. So this is how he responded to the Mary Sue, Vasilis Lolos. I love this guy. You should join us. So somebody says, so what you're saying is softcore porn is everywhere. That's just the way it is, and we shouldn't call out problematic crap in the media because that's just the way it is, and comics are stupid and not worth talking about critically anyway. All right, then. Also, Manera may know his anatomy, but this picture sure doesn't show it. That's not how human bodies look when they're all in one piece. All right. Vasilis just goes on, and eventually, look at this. Jill comes out, calls him, discredits him, says his Eisner was shared with other people. Sorry, but I don't see you making many sales of this, but thanks for stopping by, and blah, blah, blah. And they go ahead and just cancel this dude. They just spread the word all about him and basically make it so that, here we go, rolling her eyes. Oh, please. Listen, there's no reason why this cover should not have been allowed to exist. It isn't softcore porn. It just isn't. It's, it's a woman.
Yeah. You want to bring this up real quick, Ethan?
Yes, I do.
Just for the other side of the coin, we were talking about this just the other day and how you can see Peter's Peter. It's there. This is a groin shot, and no guys are out there complaining about this shit.
Look at his dick, dude. It's there. It's like you can see right underneath his leg. You see peen, carefully sculpted into.
Yeah. So are we going to start? Are men going to start feigning concern about this? Because God forbid, maybe some chick might be like, "Ooh, look at his junk." No, we just move on.
Triple A says, "Is it fair that EVS has so much talent?" No, it isn't fair. It's just
anyways,
right.
beautiful McFarlane piece there.
Yeah, I love that piece. But that's that's the whole thing. Like there are women who are just like, and when that piece came out, like they were attacking Marvel. They were going after Tom Brevoort, and Tom Brevoort was like, maybe it's time we had a discussion about how women are depicted in comics. It's like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
it's
Tom's woke. Yeah, Tom's woke.
But I mean, he was used to the way things were, which is like comic books are superheroes. Superheroes are naked people, essentially. It's just the way they are, and there is subtle undercurrents of sensuality underneath that, just by virtue of that fact. I remember seeing beautiful Jean Grey drawings by John Byrne on the Uncanny X-Men that were, in the comics that were pleasant. I mean, I remember watching the Firestar cartoon, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and being like, yeah, I think I could see Moose Knuckle there. I think I could see Camel Toe or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the. I think I see Camel Toe, and I like when I see it, I hear Stan Lee's voice over top of it. Hey, true believers, it's Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And then I think about Firestar. Yeah, it's important.
That are produced by like Dynamite and these publishers that are not the big two, but
some boobies right there. Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb. Where's Kyung? Have you talked to Kyung lately?
I'm going to, because I need to get a print off of him, or two.
Okay.
Might get a couple off him. Yeah. No, I haven't heard from him in like a year though. Yeah.
Yeah, he came out with another Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb, but yeah, it's like I haven't seen him or anything like that. You should come back. We love Kyung.
I don't know what makes them not woke. Obviously, a lot of the books that I don't really read many modern books or books that are on the.
So it's like, again, just to reiterate for Sticky Goose, it's not that the books aren't woke, although they aren't. It's that the creators aren't woke. That's what it is. The creators are just like, yeah, we're going to do whatever we want to do. So if they want to do big boobies, they're going to do it. If they want to put slurs in there, like who
would want to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. You're allowed to, though, I guess. If you want to put words in there like that, you could if you wanted to. It's nobody's going to stop you. If you want to do, what else could you do? That's politically incorrect. Oh, just if you want, whatever it is, who knows? Woke is just, you're not following the rules of whatever woke is. You're not sitting there going, the Burger King Kids Club, we need representation. You don't have to if you don't want to. You could just tell stories. Do whatever you want to do, and nobody's going to stop you. And that's kind of what it is.
The shelves right now, I can't stand those stories, but I don't. Where do you draw the line on what is woke and what's not woke? Who is the arbiter of who says what that is? I don't know. I'm assuming it's this Ethan von Sciver guy, where he says, if this is approved, because obviously these titles have to have been read and approved.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, he thinks it's like a company where I'm sitting there going, all these. I mean, no, it's not. Sticky Goose, all it is just people doing whatever they want to do. I'm not approving them. I'm not disapproving them. In fact, like I'm at the mercy of the audience, like everybody else is. Here's the thing: like, how do you we don't need to gatekeep ComicsGate too much, because the audience does it with their money. That's the first thing, and their attention. So if some guy's like, I'm ComicsGate and wants to sell a comic book, the audience is going to look at it and decide if it's something that they want to support. And the other thing is, if they're on YouTube talking and saying rhetoric that sounds woke to people, or it sounds progressive or leftist, they're not going to find an audience within ComicsGate. They're not really going to become popular. They're not really going to make any money or get any subscribers. ComicsGate is largely going to just reject that. They're going to decide who is and who isn't. For them. It's a customer-led movement. And
every book is essentially its own independent company. So we use YouTube as like a networking thing. So like right now we're raising money for Godlike. That's my book. Ethan doesn't approve anything in there. I did do a book for Ethan, which he definitely had approval on, but that was for his company. So, and that was the Little Black Riding Hood story. So, which was a play on, we're masculinizing what are fairy tales. And, it was incredible. But otherwise, yeah, otherwise, everybody's their own thing. So, but and as far as Ehtan goes, like if Ehtan sees something out there, essentially that he thinks of all these projects is cool, then he puts a little extra promotion behind that. So, otherwise, everyone takes advantage of the full ComicsGate network, and we encourage everybody to build their YouTube channels up so they can have a voice out there, promote themselves, and do a little bit of promoting for others as well. And that's why we're able to make a lot of money on these campaigns.
Yeah. Well, yes. What is a non-woke book? Rainbow the Brood is a non-woke book, by the way, because it's making fun of feminism. It's making fun of like feminism, and then Cool Story Bro is making fun of femininity, I guess, which you're not supposed to do. You can make fun of masculinity all you want, but you're not supposed to make fun of feminism, and you're not supposed to make fun of femininity. Which
do you think? Do you think Black Riding Hood is woke? Because I did put a black lead woke in there. Yeah, like I made the black kid the hero in the story.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Maybe we are a little woke.
Before they can be promoted on this site. That kind of leads me to the discussion I'm trying to make, where I'm going to just clear the air right here. There are creators, one of which we just saw on that site, Yellow Flash. He is a huge channel, multiple videos a day, millions of views, and actually watches my videos, and I appreciate that. It's just interesting to me that there's this whole other comic book content world out there that is huge, and people are consuming that. You know, a lot of the YouTube videos I watch are based around, you know, what books people are picking up, and you know, CGC slabs, and you know, stuff like that. Those are the type of videos that I'm watching. These videos from these creators are this outrage type videos where they're very clickbaity. They're very, you know, they're trying to inspire some sort of emotion that usually is negative, that makes you want to click that and see what it is.
Well, I mean, welcome to the news.
Yeah.
Because that's what the news does too. I mean, yeah, you put on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, any news outlet, the newspapers, magazines are almost all doing the same thing. They're trying to hook you into investigating the information that they're offering. Sometimes they use the word outrage a lot. I don't know if it's necessarily outrage. It's curiosity in some way. And sometimes it does kind of prey on people's desire to get negative news. I you know, personally, I'm more interested in bad news than I am good news. I think most people are. You know, it's like Hoover Dam collapses, I'm going to buy the newspaper. Hoover Dam's still there, still good place to visit, take your family. I'm not going to buy the newspaper. It's like those two things. You know, it's like bad news is always way more compelling, way more interesting. And
headless body and topless bar. I just typed in some sensational headlines. Toad arrested. Oh wait, that's a fake one. Let's see. Diana's still alive hours after she died. You know, it's like can you just say you know, she was critical. You know, so whatever. But even you can go into, you know, Inferno, downtown New York type stuff. You know, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. All headlines.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's more fun. The clickbait stuff is fun, and you know, usually it's for people who, again, are dealing with.
I would make the argument for clickbait in that, you know, we're talking about corporations that are putting out a narrative, Disney narrative, you know, Warner Brothers, all these guys. They're the amount of listeners that they have, the amount of power that they have behind their voice is massive, and for us to get heard in that ocean, we have to make a banging noise ourselves. So to criticize people for trying to be heard by having a sensational headline, when usually it's going up against these massive corporations, like, sorry, we have to do what we have to do to get heard. That's just what it's going to be.
Yep, I agree.
I've been accused of being angry or very negative. Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, I accuse SJWs of being angry and very negative. That's how they seem to me. Because they disagree with me a whole lot and they want to destroy my life. I don't know if they actually are angry. To me, they're negative because the things that they stand for don't seem like positive virtues. Are they angry? I don't know. I think many of them probably are most of their lives, but in general, that's just my assessment and judgment of them. You know, I think that largely calling things outrage, some things, by the way, dismissing things as outrage, some things are worth being outraged over. And there are various degrees of outrage. Is it outrageous that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, like, is being, portrayed by Disney. Snow White is supposed to be like, obviously, a girl with white skin. No, we have to deliberately change that because we can't present Caucasian characters in 2022. That's backwards.
Skin is white as snow.
She's got to be Latino, right? She'll be Latina, not Latina.
Yeah.
Latinx.
And if you point that out, you're racist.
Right, that's racist. And then the dwarves, why? That's embarrassing.
The
why are
dwarves
we
are
focused
all
on
6 feet tall now. You can't point that out.
Yeah, like it's like this is weird, dude. And is it like something to be outraged about? I mean, no, it's not like it's more like, what the hell, dude? What is wrong with you people?
It's creating a culture of the emperor wears no clothes. Like, you can't point it out. Like, why can't you point it out? Well, because we're gonna try to ruin you if you point these silly things out.
Yeah, like there's an agenda behind it. Okay, there are people behind it with mental problems. I think, in my opinion, people who have mental disorders who are insisting on making these changes and coping with things that are non-issues and have been, non-issues for thousands of years of human existence and storytelling. These just have not been important factors or issues in how to tell stories or how people relate to each other. And these people insist, these SJWs insist on making problems where there weren't any in order to empower themselves. Why is this happening? So that somebody has a job. That's why. Somebody says, I'm the solution to this problem. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is racist or sexist or ableist, and I'm here to fix that by, making certain unwanted changes. And look, it's worth talking about. It's worth discussing. It might lead to outrage because it is annoying. The more you look into it, the more annoying it is. I don't want things to go this way. I don't want these people to have power. I want them to be depowered. They're ruining art. They're ruining storytelling. They're ruining classic stories. They're focused on race, identity, and skin color. They want that to be the primary thing that's on people's mind all the time. I don't want people to be proud of the color of their skin. I don't want anyone to think about that. I want everybody to just kind of go, we're Americans. If you're an American, be proud of being an American, John. And if you're not American, whatever. But if you're an American, look, we're Americans. It's like we shouldn't be focused on, what we look like. We should be focused on what we're doing, what we're achieving, who we are, how we treat people. And that has been swept by the wayside by a bunch of people who just want to, instill, new forms of kind of racial consciousness and couch it as a virtue. It isn't a virtue. It's never been a virtue. Whether, the person propagating racial consciousness is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or men in white hoods riding horses. It's equally evil. It's destructive. And we need to kind of point that out. Is that something to be outraged over? Yes, it is. Now I am outraged. It is. I don't want my kids learning those things. I don't want my kids thinking like that. I don't want my children to be confused about their gender because some weirdos have created new words and terminology for mental illness to make them not understand that there are little girls and little boys, and there it is. It's no more complicated than that. I don't want my kids being like, I'm white, and that means my skin is white, and so I owe an apology to my friends whose skin is dark. I don't want to live in that world. We shouldn't be living in that world in 2023. And there are people who want us to live in that world so that they can have power and control. And I say no. And I think that's every reason to be offended. It's every reason to be upset and outraged. And it's every reason for Yellow Flash to have 422,000 subscribers and make videos about what the people who worm their way into the entertainment industry for children are doing to entertainment every single day.
Yeah, but why do you hate Yellow Flash?
I love Yellow Flash. He's a really nice guy. All right, here we go.
So I put hashtag Sticky Smash. If you think that I'm a negative content creator, I'm angry. I don't feel angry, but
I don't feel angry either until I really look into what's going on, until I really think about it. Most of the time, I'm pretty happy. People describe me as
jolly guy.
Yeah, very jolly Santa Claus type of person. I gotta lose weight, dude.
Rotund.
I do make videos that are about controversial things, and people get angry about that. That's just what happens. And also, I'm brutally honest with the mistakes that I've made and the things that I've done. That's just part of the content I make, and then people get angry about that. That is what it is. But this is something totally different. This is inspiring anger based on your political stance. This is anger based on, you're tired of, the political correctness, the political wokeness of what Hollywood and the media is pushing. And I have made videos about things like that on my channel. I mean, I am anti-woke. I'm anti-social.
There you go. Cool. Why? Why are you anti-woke? Why are you anti-social justice warrior? If you can elucidate that to me, if you can explain it to me, why you feel like you are anti those things in a way that's effective, in a way that'll make me understand, you're going to find that you agree with us and you're with us. And I think you're already there. You're just like, wait a second. It's kind of scary to kind of, yeah, it is, dude. It's very scary. It's very scary to be a part of ComicsGate. Ask Shane Davis. He's been tortured over it. Ask anyone who's joined us recently. You get unpersoned and shunned. Okay?
It used to be so bad. We used to tell people not to join. Still kind of tell people not to join. If you don't have to be here, you probably shouldn't be here. But, if you believe that, these things are going on in the culture, these wokies are out there fucking around with everybody, then you might as well be with people that are willing to ally with you on that.
Yeah, because the other side basically will look at you and go, okay, well, you're white and heterosexual, and so they're and a male, so therefore you belong in this box, and you are, unless you are crying and mewling to us all the time apologies over your identity, you're probably the enemy. You're probably a victimizer. So you belong over here, and then we've got to get you to agree and accept the fact that every human being that you encounter can be summed up and categorized by the way that they look and their sexual preference and their quote-unquote gender. And those people all belong in boxes because they're all going to be made to vote a certain way according to the interests, their interests that are defined by the color of their skin or who they put their penis in or, what genitals they have. And that's the way these people look at things. And they're shaping culture around us. They're shaping children's culture, especially if you're a father, to reprogram and socially engineer your kids to see things that way. And I personally find that to be objectionable. In fact, I find it to be intolerable. I cannot live in that world. I am a father. I have a little girl who's 7 years old. I've got a son who's 24. Thankfully, he's happily unwoke. But yeah, of course, anybody who has children does not want their children to live in a world in which people are segregated like this. We found our way past this in the 1960s. We evolved as a culture to not believe in whites only and blacks only water fountains, okay?
Yeah.
There's no difference between saying, look, these comic books represent brown-skinned people, and these comics represent white people, and these comics represent the gays. There's no difference. They're drinking fountains. They're segregated drinking fountains. That's what this is. People need to wake up to that fact.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is that the woke-tards never realized that they were segregationists. They early on they were saying, oh, well, if somebody is handicapped, then it should be written by a handicapped person. If they're black, it should be written by a black person. If they're trans, it should be written by a trans person. But then they realized their narrative fell apart because as soon as it came back to the white stuff, they're like, oh, and then they should be able to write everybody else too. It's like, okay, so you guys are fucking racist. You're racists that call everybody else racist. That's all they are. It's so insane.
Well, yeah, and of course, honestly, this has been said a million times, but accusations of racism and sexism and homophobia are weapons, and that's all they are.
Yeah.
Justice warrior, but that's not the content that I make. That's not what, I don't want to talk about that like every single day. It's exhausting to think that way. And honestly, I kind of feel sorry for these guys.
Thanks.
Let me just be clear. These guys are doing extremely well. I'm sure they're making crazy money in ad revenue, and obviously they're making crazy money on these books, $500,000 on Indiegogo. And I do not want to anger the ComicsGate folks. Definitely do not want to be on their bad side. And I understand why they're doing it, because they're basically tapping into the outrage, tapping into...
No, sir, my life was turned upside down by these people. Do you understand? You went back and you looked at an enormous career that I had working at DC Comics on some of the biggest comic books of all time. And it was because of me that those comic books did so well. I shaped the future of Green Lantern. I shaped the present of The Flash right now. Flash has a TV show in no small part because of me. He had that god-awful movie in no small part because of me and my work. I am thanked in probably a dozen superhero movies for my efforts, my creative brain, the things that I came up with. I had that taken away from me by the people that you blithely just, the woke people. I had that taken away from me. They worked together using the media, using whisper networks to smear my reputation, and they basically scared the piss out of Warner Brothers, who were in the middle of merging with AT&T at the time. They were writing all of these articles in the Daily Beast and the Miami Herald and the New York the Washington Post. They called me a white supremacist. And I'm anything but that. And they scared DC Comics, and DC Comics canceled. They ended my contract with them. I've been working for them for 20 years, making them millions of dollars with my ideas. Blackest Night, the Black Lanterns, that was mine. The spectrum, the emotional spectrum, that was my idea. All those symbols, all of those characters, they're mine. I created them. They made DC Comics millions and millions and millions of dollars and helped them through a very dry period in comics. During the Obama recession, I helped DC Comics swim through that with my work. And these people were able to undo all of that through pressure, through peer pressure, social pressure, and made it so that I cannot work in mainstream comics ever again, because if I do, they will apply the same pressure on fence-sitting cowards who will not stand up for me because they're scared. And I hear from these people in private, what happened to you was really wrong, man. I really, DC Comics, a few of those executives wrote to me, I didn't like what we had to do. Somebody said that he was having trouble sleeping at night over it. You are. I got a 7-year-old with autism. Nobody gives a shit. These people have gained unbelievable levels of power and control over the comic book industry. Specifically, they shouldn't have it because their comic books are terrible. That's what Yellow Flash is talking about. I'm personally talking about the fact that nobody should be politically discriminated against, and all of these social justice warriors, and they're called warriors because they do harm. They use weapons to hurt people. That's why they're called warriors. They call themselves warriors. These people should have zero power and control. They should not be permitted. I should be permitted to work. I should be encouraged to work for big companies. They should be fired. Wherever you find these people, understand that they are trying to subvert the aims and goals of your company. That's what social justice warriors do. They are not capitalists. They are Marxists who are demanding control of your corporation to steer it towards their own messaging. And I have to go because I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative.
Yeah,
I'm not here. Let me just finish this, John. I'm sorry. I'm not here complaining because it makes me a lot of money to complain and talk about. I don't like talking about this. I don't like talking about my victimhood. I hate being a victim. I said that at the beginning of this video. I hate it. You know, I see guys who are sniveling and whining about their victimhoods. I don't see them as manly men. So I don't like to talk about it. But if I don't talk about it, this continues. If I don't explain to people what happened to me, I've got people like you who make videos wondering why this is going on. And I have to go through it and relitigate it and relive it all the time. And I do it because I want change. I have ComicsGate. ComicsGate is here. It's the main focus of my career. It's the main focus of my life right now. ComicsGate, because I care about comics. I grew up with comics. I love comics. I love this business. I love being able to create stories and characters and heroes. I'll do it for mainstream companies like I did for DC and Marvel. They still use my characters. And I'll do it for myself, and then I'll help other people. I'll promote other people so that they can do it too. I love doing that. And there's an enormous political obstacle in the way of that. And I got to talk about it. And people who also have YouTube channels who are discussing it all the time, I understand. You're confused about the motivations for that. You can't understand because it hasn't happened to you. You know what? Go out right now on social media and say, you know what? I think I'm ComicsGate. I'm anti-woke. I see the truth. I see the light. I understand what these people are up to. And I understand and relate to what ComicsGate stands for. And you, in the first 24 hours, are going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Wait till you see these people. Wait till they unmask. Wait till their mask slips, these people that you admire. Wait till you see who they actually are. You're going to be stunned. You're going to be terrified. And you're going to have two choices. You're going to either issue a mewling apology, or you're going to dig your heels in. And thank God my peers and my friends, ComicsGate Kings, these ComicsGate creators, have dug their heels in and want to change. And that's what we're here doing right now. We are making a change. We're making it so that Godlike can get funded and can make a whole lot of money, and John doesn't have to answer to anyone. He can do whatever he wants to do. And everybody else in the chat, we got Hojo, who made the Mythicals. That's a big success. He was bragging about it today on social media. He said ComicsGate's helping the littler creators like myself who are taking Mythicals all the way to the stars. That's great. We want to see that happening. And I want to see my fellow peers who were also canceled from the mainstream, who are deriving their entire livings from a craft that they devoted their lives to. I want to see them allowed to make comics too. That's all it is. That's ComicsGate. Hashtag ComicsGate. Wear it on a hat. Wear it on a shirt. Wear it all over your social media.
On your butt?
Wear it on your butt.
Yeah.
Wear it on an armband, John. An armband.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add on to that was I don't remember how he phrased it exactly, tapping into outrage or anger or whatever. I see it more that we're bringing attention to what's going on, and through that, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. So, and also, you know, it's not just that it's conservatives when or out and out conservatives when you're dealing with Frank Miller not being able to go to a show that he's been invited to out in Europe. You know, I mean, that's money, you know, presumably out of his pocket. Also, Warren Ellis should be allowed to date. Should be allowed to date women.
Fans.
Now he's suspected of being like a sex pest or something because you know, a handful of girls wanted to take advantage of him to further, I guess, their own careers because they accused him of hypnotism.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he hypnotized them into making them want to be with him. It's ridiculous. The man did nothing wrong, but that's what we do. We call these things out because nobody else is doing it. The mainstream is not doing it. They're backing these fucking pieces of shit.
They're afraid of them.
So yeah, so when somebody has to push back on that stuff, and I guess it's us. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to support Warren Ellis and Frank Miller and anybody else that these guys are fucking going after, whether they want our help or not. Yeah, I mean, Frank Cho, he didn't want our help, but we said, hey, Frank Cho, hey, he didn't do anything fucking wrong. But no, you know, so because they went after him because he showed a little too much skin on Wonder Woman's leg. Try to ruin him.
So stupid, dude. That was so dumb. Yeah, it's just they're bullies. These people are just bullies.
Yeah, so it makes you mad. It makes you mad. It makes you mad enough to want to talk about it. And so here we go. We get on these YouTube channels, and time to time we talk about it. And again, I know we've addressed it, but it's not an all the time thing. It would drive somebody insane to have to be this angry all the time. But things do come up, and when they come up, it needs to get addressed.
Yep. I really don't like it. I love to I just want to look at Rob Liefeld art and have a good time.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do. But it makes me mad when people question why this exists and why this is a thing. And no offense to Sticky Goose here, I think he's speaking from like just naivete. Like he really does not understand like what some of us have been put through. Jon Malin was put through this same fucking ringer too.
Yeah, Bleeding Cool, mainstream comic book news site, tried to paint me as a white supremacist because I put a sign in the background that said Shell Beach from the movie Dark City, and now all of a sudden I'm a white supremacist. What world does that sound rational?
Yeah. Well, it just needed to get rid of you.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, they just taint you. They taint you. They try to destroy your life because for a time, if it hadn't been for ComicsGate, all people would see when they look up Jon Malin is that I'm a literal Nazi, I guess, going off to white supremacist sites and trying to do Hail Hitler salutes in the back of Marvel Comics. Insane.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, you're not a person to them. You're an obstacle in the way of their agenda. So they can destroy your life, destroy your reputation, all the hard work that you've put into getting where you are. Doesn't matter. You are an obstacle in the way of their agenda, and you must go by any means necessary. Merciless, pitiless, inhuman, anti-human, and that's who these people are. And I don't know if I'm ever going to stop talking about it. I mean, I imagine I will. I imagine there's going to be at some point some reconciliation where, you know, the world wakes up to this time period that we're going through. And people actually address what these people put everyone through, what these leftists, these progressive, as they like to call themselves, put the rest of the world through. You know, and I hope that time comes. I hope it comes while I'm still alive. I hope it comes in my lifetime. I'd like to talk about it rather than just having my kids speak about it for me on my behalf, having Andrea speak about it for me. I want to talk about this. I want to see these people shamed and brought to justice in some way, social justice, as it were, literally. I'd like to see that happen. I believe that we can get there, and I do believe that. You know, I think that we can. This will be recognized by everyone universally as the evil that it is, much like Nazism is today. You wonder, you know, you sit there and you watch the documentaries about the communist blacklist. You watch documentaries about the Holocaust. You watch documentaries about these things, and you go, "How did that happen? How could people behave like that towards each other? That's crazy." We're living through it now, dude. We're living through the blacklist now. You know, you if you experience the pandemic for what it was, you can see exactly the way the government can get people to behave in the most inhumane ways towards each other. You see it happening, and it's the same group of people. It's the same mindset, the same political mindset that falls right in line. That's more than happy to persecute, to oppress, to even kill. And I think that's fascinating. It's been an interesting couple of years. All right, wrapping this up.
People, we ain't going to take it no more. That beat down type of mentality. It's just who is the arbiter? Who says what's woke? Who says what's what? Do you want that to be in your feed every day? Do you want that to be what's on your mind? I don't know. Guys, what do you think? Do you guys buy ComicsGate books? Did this explain anything of what ComicsGate is? Let me know. If at any point in time you like this video, give the thumbs up. And if you like this video, subscribe for more. Take care.
There you go. So pretty good video. People sent it my way and wanted me to comment on it. And, I like most of it. I just, the stuff like, why would you do this? Did you want to do this? Not really, no.
Well, he sounds like a guy that's trying to understand. So kudos for that.
That's good.
I mean, he's sitting here, he's listening to us. So, yeah.